Hey, Gabriel Blake.
Hey, Gabriel Jose.
Where are we today?
You are in your apartment, and I am in my new warehouse.
Can you actually imagine that is like I actually recorded the regular background of my apartment and now I'm somewhere else, like just projecting it as the background?
I mean, Zoom virtual backgrounds are pretty impressive. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe I'm actually on your warehouse right now.
I'm inside the house.
Exactly. I'm calling from inside the house. So what did we watch today?
We watched the 1997 seminal classic by Ang Lee, The Ice Storm.
Yeah, and this was your pick. Why did you make us watch it?
Why did I let you watch it? Is the question, and you're welcome for picking this. To be honest, it's been so long since we podcasted last. It's been 7 days. I don't remember exactly. I remember watching this film in my mid-20s, and it was exactly my type of film. Basically, upper middle class people living in the suburbs and 100% miserable.
I cannot emphasize how much this is a Blake's movie. The whole time, the whole like almost 2 hours that I was watching it, I was thinking like, this is the movie that Blake enjoys.
But I hadn't seen it so you and I were talking when we weren't recording. It's 10 to 15 years since I've seen it, which is a pity because I like this movie. Well, I liked this movie as much as I liked Little Children.
Oh, okay.
Like, that's my genre. I just love this shit.
Okay, no, I know that.
And I think I wanted to share it with you. And that's probably about it.
No, that's completely fair. So, as it was your pick, I think that I would need to summarize what is it about. And basically, as you were mentioning before, this is one of these suburban America unhappy families kind of a story, and it has to have like probably one of the best cast that I've ever seen in any movie. It's basically everyone in the movie is a well-known actor, or it went into just being a well-known actor. So it's basically the story of two different families, and they are like other actors around, but basically we have like the main family with Kevin Kline and John Allen, that they have as kids Christina Ricci and Tobey Maguire. Mm-hmm. Tobey Maguire is in it's not really college, it's a board school.
Prep school, yep.
Yeah. And
this is a suburb in Connecticut outside of New York.
Exactly. So. Yeah, so they're not that far from New York, and it's the story about like how they are all not really happy and they're a bit dysfunctional. Yeah, I mean, some of them, they're like very unhappy, especially the parents, but other people is that just basically they don't know what is the definition of happiness, and they're like just trying to find it. It's like Christina Ricci is like just figuring herself out, and it's that you have like a good option that is Elijah Wood, that is like the son of another family that their parents are friends with, that is interested on, but she actually is more interested in the 12-year-old kid from the other family that is a bit like almost like pedophile kind of thing. So the whole story is, the reason why it's called like the Ice Storm is because there is a build up for a night that there is like a rainstorm that is like pretty cold, and it turns into ice storm, and everything becomes like a slower, or they become like accident like. But there is not really like a leitmotif to it. It's a bit more like they're unhappy, they do the stuff that they are not really going to be like driving into anything better, and then it ends.
Yeah, so like you said, the entire thing takes place on Thanksgiving weekend. It's like 5 days.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So the son comes home from prep school. They have Thanksgiving, which I was so impressed that Thanksgiving, the scene is like 3 minutes and there's like no more discussion about it. And this ice storm actually existed in 1973, which is that the film takes place
in 73, no? You said?
Yeah, 73.
Yeah.
So there's all this political backdrop of the Watergate scandal.
Yep, it's actually happening at the point.
Nixon's happening, yeah. And it's interesting to think that this film was directed by Ang Lee, right? And he was living in Taiwan during this period, and he basically had his idea of American life informed by American cinema. So it's interesting to think of that lens, like you're seeing a Taiwanese idea of American life in 1973.
Yeah, and that actually just takes me to the first point that I made with this kind of movie, with this movie, that is like, it feels, when I started watching, is that this is Blake cinema. But also, at that point, what I felt is like, we was little children, we was happiness since we started doing this podcast, and we watched other movies in the past. But this one feels derivative. It feels like just watching it through a prism. About like, this is what suburban American is.
It's an outsider looking in, and there's a truth to what the way he sees it that only an outsider can see, and it's devastating.
But at the same time, I felt a bit more like when you're going to be like just giving me like some kind of a small reading, and I know that I'm getting outside of the summary of the movie and just thinking a bit more like how I feel about it, I just felt that there is nothing on this movie that I haven't seen in other movies. It just feels like a derivative vision about like what suburban America is.
You bite your damn tongue.
Look, if I compare it with like, if I want to be like just smarter, snarkier, and ironic, I will watch Happiness. If I want to be like even more melodramatic, I will go with American Beauty. If I want to be like smarter and deeper, I will go with Little Children.
You think that Little Children was smarter and deeper than this film?
I think so. I think that this one was like just basically archetypes. And I actually like the kind of, because they had like how do you say, it was how do you say, like many people kind of cast, is that there were like many stories happening at the same time. Little Children, they actually just focus on two characters. But with those two characters, I think that there's like a way better job on just summarizing what is the kind of implicit unhappiness of suburban America.
So I'm digesting your points. So this film is based on a novel by a guy that I can't remember his name. Something Moody. Anyway, can't find it.
Okay.
Rick Moody. So when you think about it, so we often think about movies that are based on plays. We judge them differently, right? So this is a film that's based on a novel, and so I judge it differently, and I look at how the author of the novel was probably developing all of these characters. And you're right, they are archetypes, but I don't think they were meant to be archetypes. The characters don't share their emotions with other characters. And Ang Lee decides not to share what they're feeling with the audience. You're just kind of left guessing. What are the motivations? What's the history? Because there's no flashbacks. You don't find out about anything, I think, happened before.
There is a flashback. There is only a flashback that is at the beginning of the movie, is the end of the movie.
Which is what?
Where is Tobey Maguire on the train, like just coming back after the ice storm, and the family waiting there for him.
But that's not
Well, what I mean is that there is actually like something that is not chronologically ordered, so it actually prepares you. It actually tells you it's like family is something that it may be dysfunctional, it may be weird, but it's there for you.
Yeah. So I mean, we moved on from the summary. Overall, did you like it, dislike it?
I liked it, but it's like, I don't want to just jump into the last part, but it's like, when it was almost done, I was thinking, I'm 100% sure that I'm not going to remember anything about this movie. Pretty much anything. I think that there are like a couple of shots that they're amazing, but there is like plenty of stuff that I felt like I don't care. It was like significantly better cinema that does the same as this. This is not supposed to be like a genre.
You are blowing my mind right here. I thought this was like a slam dunk. I thought you were gonna love this.
I'm sorry. I mean, don't check the spreadsheet. I'm going to be like just writing my score, but I'm pretty sure that you're not going to be able to just change my mind.
Okay, so I need to see can you look up what I rated Little Children?
Yeah, you were. I think that it was. I checked it at the beginning just to check how different it was going to be. You gave it a 9.
God damn it.
Yeah, are you saying that it's better than the children?
I was thinking that I needed. Well, anyway.
I think that Little Children is significantly better than this. Significantly. Because there is like some kind of soul. It's like maybe, like a foreigner trying to display something that you can only appreciate if you grew up here. Because I can tell you what I think about suburban America, but I have never lived in suburban America. I think that Ang Lee actually brings his sensibility to the music, to the photography, but when it comes to the story, I think that it falls flat. I love all the cast. I think that it's amazing that they could actually cast like 4 different children. Four. Well, 5. Actually 5. And all of them are good. It's incredible.
Really good. This is like Christina Ricci's the performance of her lifetime, and Elijah Wood was fantastic, and
Tobey Maguire was good. Yeah. And the other kids that are a bit more secondary, but Tom Cruise's wife, Katie Holmes, it was also good. It's true that it was only like 2 scenes, and in one of them she actually just falls asleep on her crotch, on Tobey Maguire's crotch.
This is actually her film debut. This is her first movie.
Oh, gotcha. So after Dawson's Creek?
So it's her first movie. I don't know if it was before the TV show.
Gotcha. And it's true that there are like so many scenes that they are like amazing. Like when Elijah Wood tries to get into Richard Nixon's pants.
Oh my God. Come on. There's so much there. So Christina Ricci's character is completely devastated by Watergate because she sees this as like the death of Morley.
She's devastated in one scene, and then she doesn't say anything politics again for the rest of the movie.
No, she talks about it a couple times. She talks about it with with her brother, Tobey Maguire. She talks about it with her
on the
dad.
phone.
Yeah.
It's like pretty minimal. It's like when the first time when she mentions it, that it's on the phone and to the father, I thought that it's like, okay, this was like a very opinionated, very politics oriented kind of teenager. And it falls flat because besides when she's wearing the mask of Richard Nixon, I feel like there is no other mention to this. I feel like this is like terrible script.
So for anyone that hasn't seen the movie, she agrees to fool around with kind of her boyfriend, which is Elijah Wood, and she tells him, I'll touch your penis, but that's about it. I'm not getting naked, but I have to be wearing this Richard Nixon mask. And he agrees.
She doesn't say that she's going to be like just wearing that. They only agree on the pantos that I'm not going to be like just taking it off. And Elijah Wood, as he's a teenager, like pretty horny, he doesn't even like just bring up the point. He's like, you are wearing a Richard Nixon mask.
I'm very, very surprised by your reaction because I feel like this is like a master class in cinema.
I actually sent to a friend the picture, about like when Elijah Wood is trying to get into Richard Nixon's pants. I feel like this is incredible, but it's at the point that I felt is that look, actually I can see that the novel is trying to write about like the convulsive point in time that there were like those years in the 70s, in the early 70s. But the movie doesn't come across like that. It actually comes across more like in the 90s. It's like if I remove Richard Nixon, the movie would be exactly the same. Like the Richard Nixon.
I disagree in the sense that the weed became a big thing in suburbia in the 70s. Also, the wife swapping thing, that was all the social upheaval that happened specifically in the 70s. So there's so much change. Richard Nixon being impeached, the social norms changing, all of that is unique to 1970s.
So yeah, I can see that, but at the same time, it's like actually if I have to compare it with a movie that we watch in the podcast, I will compare it with Donnie Darko. Because a movie that also tries to be like from the late 80s, albeit it was like recorded, sort of like just produced on the early 2000s, and it feels like it could be from the early 2000s because they don't actually capture properly. Is that the kind of weird message that they send in this movie, in the Ice Storm, is that I feel like it wouldn't be that different because they don't try to actually chastise it, or don't try to just start some kind of war on drugs. It's like it's absolutely fine that they're having those drugs. And even when Tobey Maguire drags Gary Holmes and his roommate, it's like, I think that's something that someone could have done like 20 years later.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think the prime time of those sorts of drugs just being doled out to absolutely anyone was the 70s and the 90s. They were already pretty guarded. I see what you say, and I don't see it as a problem. I see it as a restriction or maybe an obstacle of trying to have a film like this take place over 4 days while also trying to have this kind of bigger picture backdrop, what's happening in America and how does this relate to this super dysfunctional enclave in Connecticut, which is honestly one of the most affluent and privileged communities in the world.
I agree with that. I agree that these are like very high class kind of families, and it's interesting. I see that kind of it. But I don't know if the problem that I have with it is like, it's a story that could have worked on the 70s as it could have worked now. But it's not about like just being timely and timeless. It's about like, it's a bit more of an unnecessary detail. It's like setting them in the 70s, it gives me nothing. I know that the novel is the base on that time, but I think that they didn't explore it properly. And it's basically what it connects me to Donnie Darko. That is like, they didn't explore it. It could be in the 80s as it was like set up, but it could be now. Or even like The Squid and the Whale, that is like, yeah, this was in the 80s, but it's a story that it can be now. But all the references like Christina Ricci wearing the Nixon mask, it's like, I understand that in the novel, and that's the problem that I had, is like, I can see that in the novel this would be extremely shocking because of who Nixon was. But the movie hasn't exploited and hasn't set up like the groundwork for making this as imposing as it could be. It's really imposing because it's still like Christina Ricci wearing a mask of a man that is Nixon, while Elijah Wood is trying to just get frisky with her. But it's like, I just feel like it falls short. It falls like, look, first, it's derivative. This is a story I've seen like multiple times at this point. And second, is like, I feel like it doesn't live up to the whole potential that it could have.
So when you say you've seen this story before, do you mean in films like Little Children, that kind of like upper middle class suburban nightmare?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've seen it like more times in Blake's genre. I'm going to start calling it like Blake's genre. It's not drama, it's like Blake's genre.
Okay. I mean, this is interesting. I agree that this is a subject and a theme that's been touched on by many different very talented directors. But the way he handles it, if you'll allow me a metaphor, I thought a lot about Steve McQueen while watching this, because in my mid-20s, it hit me a lot harder emotionally, and this time I saw it more as an excellent film. And you know me, you know that I prefer Hunger. I prefer the early films of Steve McQueen where he takes a lot of risks, but I can admit that 12 Years a Slave is technically extremely good. It's not my type of film.
Yeah.
That's what I feel about this and Ang Lee. It's like, okay, this is an extremely good film. He is a wonderful director. The story is incredible. I feel like he was able to capture the ideas in the novel. And Rick Moody, when he saw it for the first time, he sobbed at the ending because he said it perfectly encaptured what he was trying to write in the book.
I mean, I like the ending. I like the ending with Tobey Maguire getting on the car and seeing how everyone is devastated. And it's pretty clear that they haven't told him yet what happened.
But, okay, so tell me more about your reaction to that final scene.
My reaction was okay. It's like I couldn't like really connect with it. It's like Tobey Maguire actually just gets into the car. Their parents, is that they actually just went through a traumatic, quote unquote, kind of experience. There is like she got into an affair with the husband or the woman that was having an affair with Kevin Kline. That is funny that I always thought that he was gay.
But it's not an affair. When you go to a wife swapping party with the agreement that you're going to sleep with somebody else versus Kevin Kline having a very secret affair with his neighbor.
Sure, but it's like the husband was having, Kevin Kline was having a long-standing affair with Sigourney Weaver. And the wife, John, what's it called?
Sigourney Weaver. Oh, Joan
No.
Allen?
John Allen didn't know anything about it. That's fair, you know. But at that point, when you actually go to a wife swap kind of thing or husband swap, it's like, isn't that an affair too? Or it's like if both parties know it, how's it called?
But if you have an open relationship, you're saying, yeah, go sleep with other people. That's not an affair. An affair is something secret that you hide and it's ongoing. It's not a one-night stand.
What is it called then on those cases? A one-night stand?
It's an open relationship.
But these
They
people
agree
that
to
they
sleep with
go,
other people.
okay, these people that they actually go to a wife swap or whatever, that doesn't mean that they are like open a relationship in a general way. It's only like for that time.
No, people would argue. An open relationship is even defined as a couple who have threesomes, even if they only play together and have a threesome, that's having sex outside of the relationship.
I wouldn't call like people that they have like threesomes an open relationship, but let's not go down the direction. Yeah, whatever it is. It's like so basically Tobey Maguire gets into the car. It's like the parents are still like just trying to adapt about to what happened, you know, between them. Like him, Kevin Kline having an affair with Sigourney Weaver, her having a one night stand with a husband, you know, of Sigourney Weaver's, and Christina Ricci in a very weird circumstance that she was supposed to be dating or not Elijah Wood dying that night, you know. So everything is a bit more of a mystery. Something that I actually felt is like I couldn't actually say what kind of movie is this. You know, is that with happiness, you know what kind of movie it is. It's like anything can happen, but that you know the kind of dialogue, how it's going to be like progressing. With this movie,
that's what I admire about Ang Lee is it starts out as like a coming-of-age sexual comedy, an awkward comedy, and then it moves into kind of a tragedy, and then I don't know, like the shift in the tones, which can be a negative thing if the director doesn't do it well, I thought was done extremely well. And like you said, anything can happen, and this film goes a lot of places.
I would say yes, but when the director is teasing you, like for example, Elijah Wood, like just jumping on the trampoline in front of the empty pool, is like, oh, I'm going to commit suicide because this is fun. You know, like, oh, no, I'm not. And there are like just 3 minutes of that, they feel like, are you teasing me? It's like, what kind of movie is this? Because we are like 1 hour and 30 minutes into it. And it's like, I don't still know what kind of movie is this, you know?
So I want to ask you more about the final scene of the film, which I understand is picking Tobey Maguire up from the train. But in my mind, it's Elijah Wood being electrocuted in the ice storm, and then Kevin Kline bringing Elijah Wood back to his father. Did that scene have any sort of impact? Did it like bring the film full circle for you? Do you think there was a message there?
No, not really. I mean, I couldn't really connect with it. I mean, I'm not saying that it's bad. But I just feel like if someone were to ask me, you know, especially someone from Spain were to ask me, say, hey, I want to just hear a bit more about like the reality of American life.
Clueless. I mean, you just tell them Clueless, right?
I don't hate them. I'm talking about my friends, you know. So if they were to ask me about like, okay, I want to just like something a bit more like how do you say about like a suburbia America, because it's something that doesn't really exist in Europe, you know, the kind of suburban life. So I would go with like, look, American Beauty is a movie that I still love, and one day I will make you watch it.
Okay, so I just want to point out that your idea of American suburbia is as off as Ang Lee's. I don't think the purpose was to
That's
portray
true.
suburban
That's
America
true.
accurately.
Sure, yeah, that's absolutely fine. But I would say that like, if someone asked me to just recommend a movie, I would go with American Beauty. I think that is a bit more of an interesting and theatrical movie. I would actually recommend Little Children because I think that Kate Winslet does an amazing job. And I think that the kind of I love the feeling in Little Children about like just being tired of everything. But it's like there is no reason for you to be tired of anything here. It's like, it just makes you feel peace with the characters, but at the same time you just understand them. There is like a bit more of a connection as audience with the characters. They feel like more full-fledged, And if I have to go like something crazy, I will go like just watch Happiness.
But would you say that because Ang Lee didn't allow you to understand the emotions and motivations of his characters, while Little Children had a voice of God narration that explained everything they were feeling?
No, I think that actually is better. The script is actually just better. It didn't have like a voice of God kind of thing in Little Children. I think that it could have worked.
But they did have a voice of God. They said, Kate Winslet is feeling this way.
No, what I'm saying is like even if they didn't have that voice, it would have worked better, because they actually have like a better way of actual development. But once again, it's like this movie is an ensemble movie. And they have like multiple stories like happening. It's like closer to Happiness on that aspect, but Happiness works better than this because Happiness is a smarter script.
We're fighting. So going back.
Let's just fight it.
No. Going back to the final scene, I wanted to say that what I loved about what the director did, and this is actually what I hate Michael Haneke for, is that I personally got sucked into their dramas, into their petty emotions, into the Kevin Kline's fucking a neighbor's wife and then somehow gets his wife to fuck somebody else. And then with Elijah Wood's death, you realize how ridiculous everything was and how stupid it was that you got emotionally invested in these characters. It sounds like you didn't, but I did. And I love that it just put everything into perspective, and it felt a little bit like a finger wagging from Ang Lee. Did you get any of that? Am I super off base?
No, I mean, I'm not saying that you're wrong or anything like that. It's like I can see that perspective, but it's like I just feel like it doesn't pay off. For me, it doesn't pay off. It's like I think that is like for you, this is like a touring horse kind of situation, but 2 hours instead of 3, motherfucker. There is like the emotional payoff actually works for you. For me, when Kevin Kline brings the body of the kid and there is this kind of defeated, sort of like a feeling defeated kind of situation between Kevin Kline and I'm forgetting Joan Allen.
Joan Allen, yep.
That they're like just, you can even like just see like the camera work by like just being perfect about like how they are like just one looking to the front and another one to the side. That is like the camera is just focusing both of them. That they don't want to look into each other, but they both understand that it's like what we are doing is just stupid, compared with what is like the loss of a children, It's like I get that, but it's like for me it doesn't work because it's like there is this kind of build up that there is so much filler that it feels like so much filler that it's like nothing works. It's like it's a pastiche of things.
So is that true? You feel like nothing worked in this film?
I'm not saying that nothing worked, but it's like I just feel like look what it worked. I could have seen it better in other movies that we already watched on this film, on this cycle podcast that we're doing.
Well,
would you say?
It's super surprising to me, but I respect everything you're saying. Like I hear the complaints, and yeah, they're valid. But
would you say that this is better than Happiness?
Yeah, I would say it's in a different league. So
this is better than Happiness?
Yes.
What? Okay, this is going to be like one of the biggest difference, like a score difference.
I think so. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
I asked you the score for Little Children for a reason.
Yeah, because you also gave a 9 to Happiness.
Yep.
And that was like probably the first 9 that we actually matched our scores.
Wow. What did you give Little Children?
8.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But it's like this out of the 4 movies that I can think about, like Suburban America being unhappy. Well, 5. That it could be like Donnie Darko. Oh, fuck. Yeah, well, Donnie Darko is in a different league, but it's a below league. Uh, Happiness, Little Children, and American Beauty. This is the one that I like the least.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're all similar. I mean, I think Happiness kind of, in my opinion, because of the level of comedy it achieves, it kind of limits itself in terms of like being a masterpiece. But I do think The Ice Storm is very similar to those other films. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it is, but for me it doesn't work. I mean, it's not that it doesn't work. I mean, it doesn't work. It sounds like pretty drastic. It's like it doesn't actually come to the full potential that it could have. And I think that maybe the part of this is because Ang Lee didn't actually just live this reality. So he actually brings like the music is amazing, but it's a music that I could actually just hear in any other drama wherever it actually just takes place. That boy, like those wind instruments, and we finish like this feels a bit out of place with America, but sure, yeah, let's go with it.
It's interesting because the Jim Croce song that's Christina Ricci plays on the record, in the history of time, it was released 2 months before this film was supposed to take place, and the song was released on the same day that he was killed in an airplane accident.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like the background music. That is
I know, and I was just referring to the IMDb trivia page. That was it.
Sure, yeah, that's great. But what I mean is like there is like a lot of music that it feels like really out of place or not being like the most common choice when it comes to a movie set in America. Is like I could actually just sing with a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or whatever it's called.
Do you think that movie is better than The Ice Storm?
Let's just say that I couldn't decide. Let's just leave it there. Right. I think that Brokeback Mountain is better than this.
So let's jump to one of our questions. Because you already answered it. You don't think you'll remember anything?
I won't. I think that I will just remember like some stuff, like some details, like just Elijah Wood trying to violate, trying to rape Richard Nixon, but that's it.
So I remembered the vast majority of this film from 15 years ago, so it's obviously memorable for me. And then because you brought up Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, I don't remember a single thing about that movie except people flew. Yep. That was it.
Yep.
So did you think there was anything interesting from a direction perspective?
There were like some artistically beautiful scenes, but they were not related to the story. For example, when the ice storm is happening, there are like some scenes about like the landscape, how it was like just frozen. That looks like pretty cool, but it's completely independent from the story that you are telling.
So this is never a movie that you would point out in a conversation. Oh, this is a great example of good direction. Got it.
No. Would you?
I think I would, yeah. We disagree hugely about this film. Would you recommend it to a friend?
No. As I told you earlier, it's like I think that we have watched in the Blake genre category, we have watched better movies than this. Like movies that they actually differentiate themselves from just the baseline. And I think that this movie just aims to the baseline.
And would you watch this movie again?
I didn't hate it. I think that it's a good movie, but for me, it's not a transcendental movie. So if I will watch it again, if someone just presents with, I don't know, I don't want to say The Room, because The Room is terrible, but it's but I have a love for things that they are like so terrible that they're good. But if someone presents themselves, as I was telling you before we started recording the podcast, if someone presents themselves with Friday the 13th part 5, part 5, and this one, I would say like, oh yeah, definitely let's watch this, because that one is like just bad.
Well,
would you recommend this to other people?
Yeah. I mean, I recommended it to you. I would recommend this to a lot of people. There's almost no one I wouldn't recommend this to.
Yeah, let's just I don't think that we should actually consider each other when we're talking about like recommending, because we actually force each other
That's
to watch it. You
That's
know?
true. No. But I would definitely recommend this. I talked to my sister about it today, and I said you should watch this movie. She'll hate it, but at least she'll like appreciate it, I think.
I was actually, when I was watching it yesterday, I was talking with a friend, and I told him, that look, you should actually watch this for just seeing like the Elijah Wood, Richard Nixon scene. And I sent a picture to him because that scene is like, it's so shocking, but it feels like I wish that the rest of the movie could actually encompass that feeling. But everything else felt like completely out of place. Not out of place, out of time. Sorry.
So I would watch this film again. In fact, I'll probably watch it this weekend with my husband. And yeah, I would recommend this to anybody. And I think there is some just exemplary direction in this film.
No, and that's completely fair. I mean, I haven't watched Hulk, but this may be like the most beautiful ending movie ever.
You're a son of a bitch.
So, as this was your pick, should I score first?
Yeah.
All right, my score is 6.5.
Mine is a 9.25.
Oh, you're going for the quarter points on this one.
I did, because I wanted to score this a 9, but I absolutely feel that this is better than Little Children. So
honestly,
I
you gave me so much shit with Little Children and just building up expectation with Little Children for years until we watch it. There is how do you think that this movie is superior?
Because it's the same reason why I will talk anybody's ear off about Hunger by Steve McQueen, but I fully acknowledge that 12 Years a Slave is a superior film.
So this is not
I
technically...
enjoy Little Children more, but I think that technically this is a better film.
But technically, I would agree with you that is from aesthetics perspective, at least vastly superior to many of the directors that we've seen. Is that maybe if I think about like all the movies that we watch, if I think about a director that is better from aesthetics perspective, would be like maybe Kinky Duke with the spring, summer, fall, you know. That one is amazing. It's like a masterpiece of visual design. But that doesn't really add to a story like this.
So I don't think it needs to add to the story. There's just, at least in my mind, there are films I enjoy, but maybe I like something super shitty like Mean Girls. That doesn't mean Mean Girls is a good film. And even if I enjoy Mean Girls, and I don't, I can also see that Spring, Summer, Fall, Winter, and Spring Again is a vastly superior film. But I'm going to watch Clueless 5 times over 20 years, and I'm going to watch that movie once.
All right. That's okay, I guess. I mean, honestly, it's like when I was watching it, it's like at the beginning I was thinking, okay, this is Blake's movie. This is like 100%.
This is exactly up my alley.
Yeah, it's your genre. It's like just being like suburban America being unhappy, you know. And it's like I love that idea, but it's like you have actually just trained me in a way after all these podcast episodes that is like I just feel that there has to be like more to it. It's not about like just displaying like suburban America and happiness and just connecting those two things. It's like, oh, yep, this is a masterpiece. Because I never watched Little Children before, and you told me like for years about it, for years.
And you gave it a 9, or no, an 8.
An 8, and I give it an 8. It's like I'm still like just I love like how the comedy plays out, you know, and how the drama actually plays out. But it's like I can't believe those characters. These ones, I feel like I don't care if I were to watch American Beauty again. I don't know how I would feel.
It's different if you care versus if you can.
No. I care from the perspective that they feel more real to me.
So just think about Joan Allen and Joan Allen's character only. You don't feel like that was real? How she behaved? Because for me, that was the most accurate portrayal of somebody caught in a marriage that's not completely insufferable, but making you miserable. Like that character, I was like, oh my God.
I think that it was a bit more of how reductionist, other staff fell around her. So for her, like one of her leitmotif is that she almost joined a cult.
Yeah, I wanted to learn more about that.
Yeah, but it's like the father reverend, I don't know how to call it. It was on the wife exchange party, and when she actually, and holy shit, is that specific sentence where it says like, well, sometimes the shepherd lies the company of the sheep. It's like, look, this is wrong in many different layers.
But her response was so perfect and so in character. What she said is, I'm going to try very hard not to understand the implications of this.
Yeah,
I keep focusing on her character, but I'm sorry, there's not a more realistic portrayal of a woman who's unhappy in her marriage in suburbia.
But he actually just taking off. At that point, if he's like, look, you are like just a caricature of what this character could have been.
Reverend, yeah.
Yeah, and it's more like, look, the Reverend is here for just developing her. It's not like a full-fledged character. It's like just a way of developing her. The same way as I feel like really confused about like Tobey Maguire just leaving Carrie Holmes, and the other guy is like, I just gave them drugs. I don't know if they're going to survive, but I need to catch my train.
No, I think he was very clear they would survive. I think the big conflict there is, should he rape Katie Holmes or not?
I don't think that he really wants to rape her. He wants to have like a chance with her, because when she's like, oh, just give me some of the drugs, like, no, let's not give you that drug.
I mean, he's not like a rapist, but any horny teenage kid that's presented with somebody he finds incredibly attractive, completely passed out. I mean, he literally lays on top of her and stares at her for quite a while. I think it's clear he's having a mental or an internal conflict about what should he do here.
Yeah, I mean, a part of me was thinking, is okay, now that you woke up, are you going to be like just raping her? But the thing is, like, at that point, once again, I had the feeling that like this is an ensemble movie, and there are like way too many characters to actually develop all of them. Because Sigourney Weaver character, I wish they would actually have got a deeper insight into her. Like, okay, are you only unhappy at your marriage? Or what is the reason about like you were having like this affair, then you actually trigger this situation with you leaving Kevin Kline and himself at your place? Is that there are like so many things that I feel like this could have been developed like a bit more.
But that question you just had, I think, is a complaint from you about this film, and it's a praise from me. Like, I love that Ang Lee didn't let us into these characters at all, and I know I often complain about character development, but I enjoyed the like guessing, why are they acting this way, what trauma happened in the past, what's everything behind the curtain, right? And I loved that. But I also understand the hypocrisy of me complaining about lack of character development in other films.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, in any case, it's like, I don't need everything spelled to me. I just feel that this movie could have been better if it was more focused. It's like a bit more like, what are the movie? Marie Antoinette, when we watch Marie Antoinette, and I know there are like two different films, this is better than Marie Antoinette. But with Marie Antoinette, it's like, it was almost like she couldn't decide, Sofia Coppola couldn't decide exactly what kind of movies she was doing. And with Ang Lee here on this movie, I feel like, okay, you have like a good script, you have like a good source material, but I feel like you are still not sure exactly what direction you want to go with.
So I 100% disagree with you. I think he was in full control of the film the entire time, but like, art is subjective. So
no, it's actually
all of your points are valid. And for me,
of course, I mean, they're my points. As your points are valid too. I'm not disputing, it's like when I was watching, it's like I was saying, it's like, this is Blake's movie. Blake is going to be like loving it. I didn't expect you to actually like it more like Little Children or Happiness.
I wanted to give it a 9.5, but we know there's only one 9.5.
What? No. Wait, which one?
Isn't that what La Ventura is?
No, La Ventura is a 10 for you. You gave a 9.75 to Mulholland Drive.
No, good for me. Good taste.
Sure. Sure, you say so.
It's really interesting since lately we've been rewatching a lot of films either one of us has seen or both of us, and to have this like new perspective as a much older person. Like, did this hold up to my idea of it from the 2000s?
Is that a question, a rhetoric question, or were you going to answer
rhetorical. Absolutely rhetorical. Well, all right. So you kind of liked it. You rated it above mediocre, so that's something.
I don't think that is a mediocre movie. You know, it's at the same time I give it a 6.5 because a 7 would be like something that I would recommend to other people. And this movie, I'm 100% sure that I will forget in 2 months. 100%.
I'm putting it in my calendar now. Ask Jose if he remembers this movie, January.
The only thing that I thought that I would remember is like that Tobey Maguire reads the Fantastic Four comics. I thought that when I was
and Dostoevsky.
And what?
He also reads Dostoevsky.
Yeah, that's true. It's like just Fantastic Four and Dostoevsky. It's like that's my whole spectrum of literature. But honestly, it's like I didn't feel disappointed by it, but I just felt like you have like this cast of like kid actors that there has never been a time in life where you have like this kind of set of kid actors that they will be like so amazing in the future, because Christina Ricci is true that she didn't become like the next Julia Roberts, you know?
Tobey Maguire did.
And the what?
Yeah, Christina Ricci didn't, but those other child actors went on.
Yeah, I mean, the only one that it was Elijah Wood's brother, that I don't think that he ever did like anything to be. But the other three, it was amazing. Is that what I was saying? Is that okay? Those guys, when they were doing this movie in '97, is like it's just amazing that they had like such a good like perspective on this cast.
Yeah, I agree. I just agree more because I liked it more than you.
Okay, so anything else to say about this movie?
Well, I just want to know what we're watching next week.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So, thinking about the cast on this movie, you know, when I was just checking who was in it with John Allen and Tobey Maguire, it just reminded me of another movie from the late 90s. You know, and I was curious. I only watched it once, like back in the day, like 2002 or whatever. And I was wondering how would have aged. And that movie is Pleasantville.
You're going to have us both spend 2 hours of our life watching Pleasantville.
I know that you're going to hate it, but I don't give a shit because it's a bit more melodramatic Hollywood. And I know that I have like more patience with that.
I haven't seen it since it came out, which was late 90s, right?
Yeah, late 90s, 98. Yep.
So I'm excited to get a new perspective on Pleasantville.
Let's go for it. All right, man. Well, to whoever is out there listening to us, thank you so much for putting out with us.
And wash your hands. We're in the third wave.
The third wave? Are there more waves? Is this like a tsunami?
I think there's plenty more coming.
All right. Bye.
Wash your hands.
Bye.